Hi guys, welcome to the video for chapter 8, I believe. Yeah, chapter 8, which is lighting systems. Lighting seems kind of, a no-brainer, right? We all know how to flip a light switch, right? But there are some things to learn, and just like I did with chapter 7, I'm going to talk about some specific definitions so you get an understanding using the proper terminology and a couple concepts, all right? But to begin with, let's talk about lighting in general. Why is it important? Why is having good, proper lighting important for hospitality facility? Well, there's several different reasons, but the first one being it sets the stage, right? For the customers, for the clients, for the guests, whatever. It sets the mood, sets the theme. It goes a big way to kind of identify your property as being one theme or another, or give a certain feeling. Lighting can transport the guest into a faraway place if it's done properly. So lighting is very important on the ambience type thing, right? Then ambiance, however you pronounce that, all right? And then the second one is safety. Having good lighting where your workers are in the kitchen where people are knives are millimeters away from people's fingers and stuff like that, heavy or operating machinery, whatever, that's a safety issue. Okay, so and in the hallways for your guests, or this Marine Corps term there, stairwells for the guest or whatever, having that well lit can keep people from not seeing a hazard and being hurt. So it's a safety issue. And then the third thing is a security issue. I tell you right now, if you have a dark parking lot without proper lighting and somebody gets hurt, gets violated in some kind of crime, crime perpetrated on it, you will be held liable, okay, or possibly, all right, as long as if they can determine that you had a duty to act reasonably in that. And generally speaking, putting lights in the parking lot is reasonable. Okay, so that's why lighting is important. All right, so let's talk about some of these definitions. Okay, I said before, ambience. I can't say that word, ambiance, right? It is ambiance, right? Which means setting the theme, setting the feel for the place. But you also have ambient lighting, and the ambient lighting is general lighting throughout the space, all right? Just means that it's kind of there, right? It should provide enough light for all users to see, and basic navigation contrast with task lighting, which is accent lighting. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is task lighting. That is specific lighting for a specific task. If people are reading, they have a reading lamp or whatever. All right, so the definition, the textbook definition, is lighting that is bright and focused on a spot where a specific task is formed. All right. Contrast with general or ambient lighting, and in the fact that it's specific. All right. And then you have accent lighting that focuses on accenting architecture, features, and artwork. Contrast with general lighting and task lighting. Okay. This would be some of that lighting I was telling you that sets the ambiance. Okay. Then you have a different term here. We're going the different route here. Lamp light. Lamp just is the technical term for a light bulb, basically. All right, it can mean the actual lamp. I'm pointing to a lamp over here. It can be the actual lamp, or the actual bulb is called a lamp. All right, but lamp life is the average rated life expectancy of a particular lamp or bulb, and measures in hours of operation. Okay, now we're talking about the performance of these light bulbs. We're going to talk about color rendering index. It's the measure of how closely a light source's ability is to display color matches just the way the sun does. All right, it's the same way that the sun matches color. So if you have like a purple light, its color rendering is going to be kind of low because it's not going to match the sunlight. But if you have yellow lights or old lights that have a yellow tint, they're not going to be all that great. But you have some of the newer lights that are very pure, they will match the color rendering index of the sun. All right, so it's a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being perfect. All right. Okay, so then we have the color temperature, correlated color temperature. This is the color of the lamp when it's lit. The color is correlated or matched to the color of piece of black metal would be if it were heated to a high temperature. The temperature is measured in kelvins. All right, so it's just another way to to evaluate the efficiency or the effectiveness of lamps. Okay. All right. Now we have the luminaire. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Luminaire. All right, is a technical term for light fixture. So the entire fixture. So when you're talking about in commercial properties, you are likely to see quotes and things like that use the term luminaire or luminaire. Okay. Then we have lumen or lux. It's a unit of light. A unit of light. Lumen is the output of lumen output is the amount of light emitted by a lamp as measured at the source. Okay. Then we have efficacy. Efficacy. Efficacy is a technical term for efficiency in lighting. Efficacy is defined in the lots, or lumens divided by watts. Okay, so that's an efficiency ratio. Okay. Then we have incandescent lamps. Now, an incandescent lamp is a lamp that's illuminated by passing electrical current through a filament made of metal with a high resistance rating. So you've all heard incandescent lamps, right? They're inefficient. They're the old ones. They're the ones that have the little thing, the little prongs in there with the spring, and it lights that up. Basically, they are horribly inefficient because they produce heat and light through malfunctioning. Okay, they create some kind of resistance that overheats an element, and by heating that element, it relates with the gases that are in the bulb and creates light. Okay, so you can understand that purposely creating a malfunction is probably not the most efficient way to produce light, but they're one of the most common light bulbs. Okay, and then we have an electronic discharge lamp. Now this lamp, this is a family of lamps that use ballast to provide electrical arc to gas environment, and the arc excites the gas. So whereas I was telling you before, you have the incandescents, but have the two positive and negative, and then a wire in between, and then there's resistance in there, and that heats up and creates your glow, right? Well, electric discharge lamps do the same thing, but they have those. They're not touching by metal. There's space in between where the gases react to that, and it's controlled by the ballast, and then that creates your glow. Now, fluorescent lights are going to be a more common type of electric discharge lamp. Okay, so that gives you an idea what we're talking about here. So, dichroic coating is the coating applied to the reflectors inside very hot tungsten, and we're going to talk about these here, but tungsten halogen lamps. This coating permits the heat generated by the lamp to travel up out of the top of the lamp rather than being reflected downward. So it's just a way that they coat the inside of certain lamps so it's safe, and it creates a longer life and things of that nature. All right, a fluorescent lamp is a common type of discharge lamp. It's the things that you see in the schools and the kitchens or wherever, the long tubes. It doesn't have to be long tubes. We have now the fluorescents that can screw into a regular light bulb, right? Because they have little twisties. That's a fluorescent as well. Now let's talk about something a little bit more efficient, a little bit more modern. Light emitting diodes is a semiconductor chip that effectively converts electricity to light. It just converts it. It's not done by any malfunctions or any resistance or anything like that. It's just an electronic function. Okay, and I can't explain what that function is, but that's what an LED is. Okay, so a tungsten halogen lamp. You've heard years ago, probably all of them are now, but years ago, headlights of cars were not this. They were some other kind of iridescent lamp. And when they came out with halogens, and like I said, I think they are all halogens nowadays, they were much brighter, and they were more effective, they lasted longer. So when you say halogen, this is what we're talking about, a tungsten halogen light. It's a type of lamp related to incandescent lamps, but instead of a metal filament, it has a filament suspended inside gas capsule a filament of tungsten. But tungsten's a very, very hard metal. All right, almost rock hard. All right, so well, actually, metal's probably harder than rocks, but you get what I mean. It's a very dense, hard metal. So it's just a different way to use old technology. Okay, so those were my definitions. Now let's talk about a few things, a few principles. One of the things that the book covers, which I like, and it's very important, not very important, but, well, I guess it is, but it is, it's important to know when you're planning a property, a hospitality property, when you're planning the lighting and even the design of the structure itself, that you can incorporate daylighting in that. That is natural light coming from outside. So having exposures for the morning light or the afternoon light, having lights or windows or skylights or things of that nature can reduce the need for other lights. Just a basic window is a term of is a type of daylighting. When you live like in an apartment or something where you live an apartment or a room that's all on one side, right? So only one wall gets light. The further, or a window further away from that, the darker it is, right? So even in the daylight, you have to understand that if you can't do daylighting effectively, then you're going to have some kind of electric lighting, right? So incorporating your design to take advantage of that natural light coming from outside, whether through skylights or regular windows or glass doors or whatever, is very important. However, you also have to take into consideration the heat transfer from that light from outside. All right. So all things taken into consideration. All right. So what are some of the advantages of converting from incandescent lamps to LED lamps? All right, why is an LED something that we want to do these days, right? A lot of people, some municipalities had tried to. I don't think anybody was successful. Maybe in California, but some places have tried to outlaw incandescent lights and only require places to either replace them or, as they need replacing with LEDs. All right. There's many different reasons why LEDs are better or improvements. Okay, first one is their light quality is closer to, closer to the sun, right? It's very, very accurate, 90%, 90 out of 100 or 95 out of 100, whereas incandescent are a lot lower than that. That's number one. Number two is the lamps themselves last significantly longer, and then they also reduce electricity consumption. All right, so it is in this day and age where we're all trying to reduce our use of energies, switching to LEDs is definitely a good thing to do. Now, one of the disadvantages is they're slightly more expensive, or maybe more than slightly more expensive. It's been a long time since I bought light bulbs, so I can't remember. But the advantages are, again, improved light quality, longer lasting lamps, and greatly reduce energy consumption. All right, and last thing, this was something that I felt was just a small part of the book, but I felt this is something that as a property manager you might want to know about. All right, and it's a practice that you can do, and there's advantages and possibly some disadvantages to it, but it's called group relamping. Okay, now what group relamping is? Let's talk about a hotel with 100 rooms. Let's just say, as the rooms were finished, or whatever, you just kind of put some light bulbs in there, kind of willy-nilly, whatever, not all at the same time. So you got different light bulbs being in there at different times. Then what you're going to have is it's very difficult to keep track. Because if a light bulb goes out, if you don't know if they were all put in the same time, you don't know if there's something wrong with the appliance that bulb is in, or anything like that, or if there's some kind of a circuitry problem or anything like that, or if you're buying bad bulbs or whatever. You don't know because they're all different times. So replacing a space's light bulbs or lamps all at the same time is a good system, right? So you have them there now. There's always going to be a percentage that are going to die prematurely. All right. So 1 or 2 is fine. Once that happens, okay. But then when you start having several of them start to die, that means they're approaching the end of those light bulbs or those lamps shelf life, or not shelf life, but operational life, right? So replacing them all at the same time is a good thing. Now, a lot of us, we don't like to waste, and by throwing out individual bulbs or bulbs that still have a little bit of life in them, you might consider that wasteful, and that's up to you. But the efficiency of the operation by doing it that way is really going to help you. It's going to help you make sure that you won't have guests in the middle of doing something and light bulbs going out unexpectedly. So, I mean, if we know that a room has had all its light lamps replaced at a certain time, we can be pretty confident that we're not going to have any issues with the guest complaining or getting hurt because the light bulb goes out in the middle of a shower or something like that. Okay, so that you have to understand that our guests come first. All right. Yes, we want to conserve, but our guests come first. All right. So that's just my opinion on that. If you disagree with group relamping, it's a good thing. It is a question in the homework. Make an argument that you think that it's too wasteful in this modern age we live in. That's fine. Make an argument. Convince me. But right now, I'm convinced that it's a good thing. Okay, so that was down and dirty for chapter whatever it was, chapter 8, I believe. And let me know what you think about this new format. We're just going through some definitions, whatever. The teacher in me wants to explain a little bit more, but these videos get very long very quickly. And I have noticed that some of the information that I'm quizzing you on, I may have skipped or whatever in the past. So right now I'm just going along with your homework to make sure that I cover everything that you need to know. All right. So let me know. And if anybody has any issues with anything or suggestions, let me know as well. All right. Have a good weekend.